Good morning to you once again here with Barb Weza. Barb?
Good morning.
There you
Good
are.
morning.
Is that great voice, I know. How you been?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Again,
Good.
Community Lifeline, great nonprofit, and big thanks to Peninsula Credit Union for allowing nonprofit 501c3s on for nonprofit news. What's been happening at Community Lifeline? Lots of things.
Lots of things have been happening. I would say, for the most part, it has been about our shelter. Since November 1st, we have provided about 6,300 beds to adult individuals, about 200 individual adults, and including during the snowstorm in February when we opened our doors 24 hours a day for a week when the town shut down because of the snowstorm.
Oh, yeah.
And our staff were just troopers and stepped right up and rose to the occasion.
When you talk about staff, how many folks do you have that either help out on a staffing basis or a volunteer basis? How many folks spend time down there?
We have 8 paid staff, part-time staff members that work with our shelter, and then myself, I am a part-time case manager and director, and then we have about 250 to 270 volunteers throughout the community that come in and provide meals and different services throughout Community Lifeline during the week.
So when you say you're open 24 hours a day, obviously that is 24 hours a day. Otherwise, without the snowstorm, what are the hours? And in the morning, everybody has to vacate the property, and then they come back in the evening?
Yes, we close our shelter at 8 in the morning, and then we open back up for showers at 10 o'clock in the morning until 2. Then we close the building again for another cleaning, and then open back up at 4:30 for dinner. Then close the building again at 6:30 and open the shelter at 8. People are allowed to come in between 7:30 and 8. They have showers and hygiene items available to them at that time and can stay until 8 in the morning.
This is kind of off and on schedule, I can assume, makes it difficult for folks if they're trying to build some sort of routines in their lives as they try to pull themselves out of these struggles that they may find themselves in, and that's kind of one of the things we want to talk about.
Yes, it is. So something that we implemented last year during shelter season was that with our intakes, we put everybody into a plan, a housing plan, a resource plan. So everybody is working on a plan of some sort, including permanent housing. And so with that, we are a pathway to permanent housing. We can connect people with treatment, mental health resources, healthcare, job training, and education, as well as providing them the basic needs services of food and shelter in our building. So now that our shelter is closing, many of these people that have been working on housing plans have not yet secured housing. We have a lack of affordable housing here in Mason County, and we are asking for the community's help. We are looking for landlords that might be willing to rent a room, an apartment, a house, a property to a tenant who would come with case management services. So we would provide intense case management services to whomever that might be.
And explain what case management may
Yes,
what that
I'd be
means.
happy to. So case management, a case manager helps connect people with resources and walks alongside somebody to set goals. They're directed by the client to problem solve, to do crisis intervention before there's losing their housing or whatever the situation might be.
So you kind of would act as, for lack of a better term that I'm thinking of right now, perhaps some sort of a type of co-signer to the people who have a room, saying, listen, we're working with these folks. to help them get through this transitional period in their life. So we interact with them on a daily basis. We understand their routines and things like that. Is that kind of like what that is?
I would say mediator or
Okay.
life coach, maybe,
Okay.
just to coach people along and walk alongside them.
What are some of the apprehensions that you've found homeowners, landowners, that they have in opening up their domiciles to folks?
Yes, there is always people are afraid that their property will be destroyed. That maybe there are behaviors that may make them loud or unusual in the circumstances. Those are all things that we can help facilitate and work with people and help them understand, educate the community, help them understand what is coming, and to help them get to know the person as well.
Are there the amount of rooms or homes available in Shelton or Mason County to start working towards a solution to this problem?
Right now, we have very few. We do know that there are many of you out there that own properties that you might have a mother-in-law cottage or a studio apartment or something like that. We know that studies show, research shows that if people have housing, a stable place to go every day, it helps them move forward faster and helps them heal. Everybody that we see that comes through our doors have been traumatized in some way. This goes back to the ACEs of childhood trauma and many in adult trauma as well. And so we don't want to re-traumatize people. We want to help them begin their healing. And housing, having stable housing, is that key.
Do a lot have children? How many families do you see as opposed to like single individuals?
In our shelter, we serve individual adults, and so we have two other shelters in town that work with families with children, and we have many that come in for our meals. But for our shelter, we have individual adults. And we have a 35-bed capacity, and we have been almost at capacity the whole season.
Are there ways that if you were to rent out a room like this to somebody, presumably perhaps the folks moving in may not have a steady income to pay for a rental, 6-month lease or year-long lease or things like that. Are there ways that you, or through the state or something like that, supplement that to the homeowners?
Yes, there are. The majority of the people that I work with have an income, whether that be SSI, SSDI, SSA, working for Social Security. We also have many people have housing vouchers through DSHS. The HEN voucher, which guarantees up to $790 a month for rent for a room. And then we also have some housing funding through the Department of Commerce called Rapid Rehousing, which is funding that can be used as move-in costs to get people in. In some instances, we can also pay people's rent for up to 6 months.
Are there protections for the folks who would be moving in so they're not getting overcharged by the potential tenants? Are there some protections on the other side for that? So you can move in, but I'm going to charge you $1,000 a month when perhaps the going rate for a room of that size is $250.
Yes,
about?
yes, and advocacy is a huge part of what we do, and we work closely to make sure that there are lease agreements in place that protect the rights of tenants and landowners.
Sure.
As well, yes.
You got some people and groups listed here that
I do.
that you work with.
Yes.
What are some of these?
Yes, currently right now I am working with 5 senior women who have been outpriced out of their housing. They are homeless for the first time in their lives.
Wow.
And I don't know about you, but I cannot put someone in their 60s out on the street, especially a vulnerable woman, and feel very protective towards them. I also have 3 men with some pretty high, who are over the age of 60, who have some pretty high health needs that we are also seeking housing for immediately. And these are folks that have an income. These are folks that have funding that come along with them. And these are folks that would have case management services provided for them and support for the tenant and the landlord.
Wow. Also community partners, the Community Action Council, Peninsula Health, Telecare. There's a lot of other folks out there that, do they all work with Community Lifeline, or does Community Lifeline send folks to these other organizations? How does that work?
It works in both ways. We have many community name-by-name meetings in which all partners come to the table, and we discuss how we can best wrap around a person and get them services and housing. So each one of these partners that you see on this list are actually working for each one of our clients.
Last time we had you on, we talked about the point-in-time homeless count.
Yes.
And this kind of dovetails into some of those issues as well. Have you gotten the numbers back on that? What have we found for this
Yes.
year?
So Crossroads Housing takes the lead on that, and we don't have numbers back on that yet, but we're anxious to get those and hear what those are.
How was that day with working at Memorial Hall, and then with the folks who were out and about into
Yes.
the...
It was well attended. We were seeing fewer this year than we have in the past. We attributed that to a few things, weather, and we know that many people have gained housing over the last year. So faces that we saw last year, we may not have seen this year.
So people who have perhaps a mother-in-law suite or an out area with water and electricity, or a room in their home that they may have, and the desire to open it up to someone else, how do they get in touch with you? What do we do?
They can get in touch with me at Community Lifeline at 360-490-3430.
It'll be interesting to follow the progress here and keep us updated on this. Hopefully
will.
we can find
I will.
housing for everybody.
I will. Thank you.
Good to see you, Barb.
You too.
Thanks for all you do. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Community
Thank you
Lifeline,
both.
again, a nonprofit 501c3, and thanks to Peninsula Credit Union for offering up some time on Daybreak to talk about the issues. If you're interested and are involved with a nonprofit, you can email Caleb at ifiber1.com to get some more details on how you can come on the show.